why don't we just move on to the next picture? There we go. Some more West Texas scenery. It's a good picture of Miss Charlotte, made at 9 o'clock at night in Texas. See how bright and sunshiny it is. It's right on the border before we went into New Mexico. Right at the edge of the Central Standard Time Zone. Picture of a church in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Looked like the projector kind of got away from me a little bit. Beautiful building. That was some kind of monument we stopped to look at. It may have been the Crater National Monument. More of the white sands. Just stretches forever and ever out through there. Another picture of that church. More white sands. Now we got it. There's we're back in Forestdale, and it's snow in the backyard at 403 Rose Hill Road. There's Miss Dixie trying to slip around there and get her picture taken. There's a doghouse in the backyard. She raised a lot of puppies there, and there's some of them. Had a litter of puppies twice a year, and 10 to 12 puppies each time. Well, so much for the puppies. We're back on the road again. We're somewhere out west. There we stopped off at a cliff-dwelling monument, Montezuma, I believe. This is scenery going into the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Now we're back home at 403 Rose Hill Road in the snow again. Really got the slides mixed up, but at least I got them. That was a nice little house. That was the second house that we owned, or that we bought, and it was comfortable. 2 people. And a backyard full of German Shepherds. That's a sideways picture of the backyard at 403. There's a picture of our front yard looking up next door to Mr. and Ms. Reed's house. There's somebody slipping out the back door there that I didn't get a good picture of because of the ladder. Another picture of Miss Dixie in the snow. She was a good dog. And a good mama too to her puppies. She don't think too much of the snow, but here's a picture down at Dad's house. That's Dad walking out the back, and picture of his car in his garage. He always liked the Buicks. There's Miss Charlotte Ann and Mother coming out the back door. Picture of Dad's backyard before they built houses all around him. That's another view of the back down there. That was the old house down there. Two colored people lived in that as I grew up when I was kids, and the lady always worked for Mother as a maid and a cook. That's a picture of Miss Dawn at 403 Rose Hill Road. That must have been about 69 or so, and looks like Easter Sunday. Gonna hide some Easter eggs. Now we're back on the road again. That's out in Texas someplace. This is down at Dad and Mother's. That was Cindy and her first husband. That's Aunt Teen's daughter. Picture of this is at the Grand Canyon, looking down into the canyon. This is on the road going into the north rim of Grand Canyon. Scenic trip. Some more pictures of the Grand Canyon. This is the road going into the north rim. I believe this is Durango, Colorado. We were after that we were heading back home. This is Durango. We spent 2 nights and a day there. It's a good picture of the Grand Canyon, some of the scenic rocks out there. Another picture going into the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Same trip. It was a scenic ride out there. It's a long ways back in there. Seemed like it was about 40 miles off the main road. Oh, it's a distant looking mountain. You drive forever to get there. Looked at that mountain for 2 days before I ever got to it. It's another picture of the cliff dwellers at Montezuma Monument. I was going into the north rim. This is a mountain right outside of Santa Fe that we stopped and looked at. There they call it a mountain. This is Santa Fe, New Mexico in 1970. Some of the little scenic tours you could go on and look at. Another picture of a nice church. These are mountains right outside of Santa Fe. There's a good picture of Miss Charlotte at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Another view of her in that red outfit. She looks sharp. Looking down into the canyon. Another view of the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Still Grand Canyon. These pictures just don't do that big place justice. It's a long ways down to that river. This looks like the north rim of the Grand Canyon. It had some vegetation on it. It's a lot higher in elevation than the south rim. Some more Texas. There's a picture of old Rebel. That slide got kind of messed up, looks like, but that's a picture of him. There he is again. We're back home again at 403 Rose Hill Road. Got snow. We had a 1967 Cougar and a 1970 Chevrolet pickup truck. There's Mr. Rebel getting up. That was a smart dog and a good dog. He and I were very close buddies. This is a picture of a lot in Smoke Rise, lot 225, when we bought it and before we ever built a house on it. Picture looking down the street on the west side of our land. Had 6 acres there. It's another picture looking back down into the front of the lot. That would be our front yard once we got the house built. That's looking down on the east side of the property. Well, another picture of the lot. Another picture. I had a holler right in the middle of it, and there's Miss Charlotte across the street from the lot looking at it. That was an enjoyable period of our life. We were up there 19 years. I guess that's as long as either one of us ever lived anywhere, or same place anyway. More pictures of our old lot before we developed it. This is a picture of some lots on top of the mountain there in Smoke Rise. It was pretty up there and scenic, but I didn't want scenic. I wanted usable land. You can see almost all the way to Tennessee from up there. Very scenic, very pretty, especially in the summertime. More pictures from the mountain in Smoke Rise looking north to Tennessee. And we're back to puppy pictures in Forestdale again. Dixie always had some white ones. She was a cross between a black and tan and a white German Shepherd, so we had 2 or 3 white puppies in just about every litter. And they were pretty little things. Didn't have any trouble selling them either. Got 25 bucks a piece for them. Had some silver and blacks and black and tan and white ones. Rebel didn't have a lot of patience with them, especially when they'd try to horn in on his chewies or bones, whatever he was eating. He'd give him a good growl and a snarl, and then they'd leave him alone. there's Miss Candy and Miss Charlotte, and old Coco was there somewhere. That's the beach picture. We went to Panama City at least once every year, and sometimes twice. Now we're back home again in Smoke Rise. This is what the backyard looked like. There's Miss Charlotte and her puppies on the beach. A good-looking woman and good-looking puppy dogs. They were just like our kids. They went everywhere we went. Another picture of Miss Charlotte and her babies. Good picture of Coco and Candy. Coco was a pretty dog, and he knew it. There's a picture of old Luke. We had a Datsun station wagon, I believe, at that time. Little rice rocket. Wasn't worth a flip, but anyway, we had it. Made a trip or two down there in it. Another good picture of Miss Charlotte and Coco. I did these two ways. I scanned them in a computer, and they're on a disc too, and they might be a little better pictures, but I couldn't narrate them. So anyway, this is what we got. There's Mr. Luke sitting out there on the beach at about 31, 32 years old. Can't get the thing focused, but as good as it's gonna get. Let's go on. There's Coco and Candy in the front yard in Smoke Rise. We're back at the beach again. Another good picture of Miss Charlotte and her babies. That ocean looks good. Not as good as she does, though. And that's baby Candy, I believe, right there, and Miss Charlotte's holding her up. And there's Coco and Candy and Miss Charlotte on the beach again. Wind's blowing those leashes just a little bit. And there's Miss Charlotte with Coco. Another good picture of Coco and Candy. And there's standing in their front yard looking across at the Dearmans. They were across the street neighbors. And there's Coco and Candy rousting around on the sofa a little bit. I believe that's one of the puppies on the floor there that I tried to make a close-up of. That's Ain't Nita and Quincy and Mike and Geneva, Mike's first wife. There's a picture of the front of our house and smoke rise before we added on to it. There's Candy gonna play the piano, I believe, and Coco gonna help. Carried that piano wherever we went. Can't nobody play it. That's when Candy was little. She